I just love that people around here appreciate what this state and this country have to offer. They're not ashamed of it. They're very pro-American, pro-God. They believe in the founding principles of this country. And it's something that's very important to me and important to my family.
Howdy.
Regular?
Yeah.
Super on that.
Regular is great. How's your day going?
Good.
Man, I was running on fumes. The Hampton gas station down there. It's all closed up.
Sorry, back next June, 1999.
Oh, I must have missed that one. I'm glad you're here.
There's a Punisher skull right there. That's Chris Kyle.
A what?
Punisher skull from the back of that truck.
Oh, did he have like a Punisher skull?
That was his logo he put on the side of his helmet.
Huh.
If you've ever seen the movie American Sniper, you know.
I have not. I've seen clips of it like
If you were
in
proud
a
of our
motel
brave
room.
veterans.
Have you watched any like real life interviews with Chris Kyle? Or you said you read
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah. I've read the book twice. It was that good.
Damn. What does he
Yeah.
talk about like, other than murdering?
I don't think he's murdered a single person in his life.
Oh, you wouldn't call it murder.
Huh?
You wouldn't call it murder since he's.
Would you call it murder?
I mean, he's killing.
Would you call the people trying to shoot at him murderers? Do you sympathize with them more than him?
No. No, I just think when you intend to kill someone, it's murder.
Okay. He talks about growing up and how his dad didn't give, like we were talking about around here. it's like School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
His dad didn't give a flying fuck about the way he felt about the goings on of the world
Yeah.
or himself. Just growing up on a ranch,
Yeah.
and his dad's like, hey, I need you to do this, and you need to get it done. And then he grew up, became a rowdy young adult. September 11th happened. He joined the Navy to become a SEAL, and they showed his whole, in the movie, they showed his whole like kind of training, basically his whole career, and up until he got murdered himself.
Chris Kyle?
Yeah.
What? When was he murdered?
He went out shooting because after he got out, he's like, he told his wife, because he had like, I think 2 kids.
Yeah.
He told his wife, I'm done. Like, I've had too many close calls with death. I'm done. He was using his experiences to help veterans who have had like PTSD, stuff like that. So him and his buddy were texting back and forth. They're like, man, this guy's a little off. He's a little weird. Don't you think so? And the other one, yeah, it's kind of weird. And so they take him to the shooting range and they're shooting, just talking. And the dude takes one of Chris Kyle's guns and points it at him and kills him and his buddy.
Huh.
Yep.
That's very absurd
It is.
and strange and
Yes.
ironic.
Yes. Very ironic.
So everything's set up and we're ready to go.
Sweet, let's do it.
So Stu, I have known you for maybe 10 years. We haven't talked in many years though, especially not in person. It's
Right.
been maybe like 6 or 7. And I was here in Idaho and I reached out to you and I said, I want to meet up. So I was wondering if, just to start out with, you could talk a little bit about where you grew up and what it was like.
Yeah, so grew up in, at the time, it was a small town, Edmonds, Washington. Not a lot to say. I mean, to me, growing up there, it seemed like it was pretty normal. A lot of people lived in Edmonds when I lived there, and then more so growing up. But it always kind of had that small town vibe. Like if you go downtown Edmonds, they had the roundabout with the fountain in the middle and all these small little stores you can go shopping in and things like that. And it was right on the waterfront, so they had the ferry, so it was real peaceful. A lot of beachfront, you know, a lot of good times had down there on the beach, especially growing up.
So I spent from 5th grade until 12th grade, I lived in Edmonds. A high school teacher described it as the place where old people go to die. And it's honestly a really nice place. But like, did you, when you were like in your teenage years, did you enjoy being in Edmonds? Like, did you have a lot of fun there, or did you, like, what was that like?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I mean, growing up with friends, there's never really that aspiration for more. Like, I'm searching for more out of where I live. There's plenty of stuff to do. There's the mall over in Linwood and movie theaters and again the beach and things of that nature. So I mean we never went without as far as things to do, places to hang out, that kind of stuff.
Like I've talked to some people who like they describe the towns that they grew up in and being really afraid that they were going to be like stuck there, and like it was something that I think a lot of people are pretty afraid of. But you sound like you were pretty comfortable growing up there. But at the same time, and maybe you have more to say about that, but you're not in Edmonds now.
As far as Edmonds, the city goes, I could probably have made a life there. Very beautiful city. And I never saw myself leaving that, I guess, general vicinity. Within, a lot of people say, when you grow up, you never move further than 30 miles away from where you were born, right? And I never saw myself as a kid growing up, even after high school. I had aspirations, but never seeing myself actually moving away from where I grew up, from where my family is, that kind of stuff.
But you did.
I did.
So what changed that?
So, I mean, as you grow up, you have different opinions, you have different needs, different wants. The political landscape in Washington wasn't fitting for my beliefs, wasn't fitting for the way I wanted to bring up my family. It wasn't fitting for my wife. It's hard to make a living. Taxes were out of control, in my opinion. Traffic was insane. You couldn't get anywhere. I mean, it took, I think, my wife like an hour and a half just to commute to work in the afternoons. So it's all just really frustrating, and a lot of that culminated into us deciding to get out of that and get away from that, to create a better life for ourselves, something with more promise, moving to a place where it's easier to make a living for yourself, and you don't have to worry so much about how you're going to make ends meet, having to live paycheck to paycheck, which is something that we did experience for a period of time living in Washington.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about why you wanted a change of scenery, and you're in Idaho now. How long have you been in Idaho?
Almost 4 years now.
And you're in Nampa.
Correct.
Have you always been in Nampa?
Yeah, as long as we've lived in Idaho, we've been in the same house, same city. And it's a lot more rural than Arlington is. And in fact, when I lived in Arlington, another one of the main factors why we decided to move here was because it was going from rural to more developed. There was a lot of subdivisions going up, a lot of forests being torn down, farm fields being torn up and building subdivisions, which a lot of that's happening here too. But I think it's just it's kind of an indication of a lot of people wanting to live the life that I want to live, coming here and trying to do the same thing, trying to make a better life for themselves.
Yeah. How would you describe that life that you want to live?
So the life I want to live is just, kind of a lot more laid back, less stress, less what I would refer to as government overreach. I spend the money the way I want to spend it, in the form of like less taxes, things of that nature. Raising my kids the way I see fit, sending them to schools to learn things that I feel are important, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people can relate to that. People might have different opinions about what they want their kids to learn and value, but I mean, working in a school myself, I know for a fact that parents feel that it's very important to instill values in their kids that mesh with their own.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel like you can do that better in Nampa than you could in Seattle or Edmonds or Arlington?
I feel like in the state of Idaho, parents have more say over that kind of stuff, schooling and things of that nature, than they would in Washington. I feel like in Washington, everything's much more structured, and again, just a personal belief that the government, or all the way from the governor of the state all the way down to, say, a school board, is not going to have the willingness to listen to parents, beliefs, wants, needs, expectations, stuff like that as they do here.
Is there anything else that you really like about Nampa, aside from maybe like the civic side of things? Or
I just love that people around here appreciate what this state and this country have to offer. They're not ashamed of it. They're very pro-American, pro-God. They believe in the founding principles of this country. And it's something that's very important to me and important to my family. Growing up, my parents were never very outspoken about that kind of stuff. It's just a conclusion that I made on my own. I feel like a lot of this country, especially nowadays, is split one way or the other. I moved here because I felt like this was an area that identified with my point of views, the lifestyle I was wanting to live. There's tons of stuff out here as far as outdoor recreation, something that I really enjoy. Camping, fishing, hunting, that kind of stuff. Yeah, just and the people. The people, I'll touch on that. The people around here are night and day compared to Washington. I feel like even the simplest task of merging into traffic on the freeway is so different here. People are more than willing to let you over. If they see your turn signal on, they'll let you over. In Washington, I feel like it's every person for themselves. You constantly getting cut off, or you yourself are just like, I'm gonna cut this person off because I need to get over type thing. You know, so the people around here are so much more accepting, friendlier. They're more outgoing. They're more willing to talk to a stranger on the street. Whereas in Washington, I never got that. I never looked at somebody and thought that person has a good soul. You know, or if I did, very rarely. You know, around here, I feel like I could walk up to pretty much anybody and they'd give me the shirt off their back. So, great people around here, for sure.
Yeah, there's something really powerful about that. And I know that you said that this was your opinion, but what do you think our country has to offer to people? Because you mentioned that people around here are more open to and more accepting of what America has to offer. And in your opinion, what does it have to offer?
Well, I think first and foremost, the freedoms that we are afforded in this country are second to no other place on the planet Earth. And I think a lot of people take that for granted. And a lot of people are so free, for lack of a better word, that they don't have any other problems that I feel like they need to make problems for themselves almost. So around here, people celebrate that. People enjoy their freedoms. They're very opinionated about it. They're very protective about it. They're willing to defend those freedoms. As, you know, verbatim what founding fathers put forth, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, things of that. And that's something that I very strongly identify with. Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks for elaborating on that. The last question that I wanted to ask you, it's one of the questions I'm asking everyone, is where do you see yourself in the near future? Or where do you want to see yourself in the near future?
Well, my wife and I have always kind of had the aspiration ever since moving to Idaho, of moving up north to northern Idaho, kind of the Panhandle area. just to be closer to family. The longer we've lived here, though, we realize that's not really an aspiration we have any longer. We're pretty comfortable with where we're at. I know my current place of employment is, like we were discussing, pretty lucrative. I feel like I have a really good future with them. Our kids are old enough now to where they're starting to make friends and, you know, getting invited to the sleepovers and the birthday parties and things like that. So I feel like it almost wouldn't be fair to them to pull up, uproot and kind of, you know, move somewhere else. So I feel comfortable here. I don't really see much changing.
You feel like you're kind of on track to where you want to see yourself.
Exactly. And that's the whole premise off of why we moved here is the American dream, if you will, that we're living right now. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like, I think that's really unique and special. I think that I've only talked to you and one other person so far who have said that they felt like they want to see themselves in the place that they're pretty much in. So I think that's something to be cherished.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Well, thanks for doing this with me.
Absolutely. It was good seeing you.
You too. And I think it'll be, I'm really glad that you're willing to share this stuff. I know that you're kind of reticent at first, but your perspective is important, and you have a great face, and you have a really cool motorcycle in the background. And
not
just
gonna lie,
for folks who are watching, I didn't know
good
that
looking.
Stewart had a motorcycle until about 30 minutes ago, which I feel a little bit betrayed, because we could have gone on some cool rides. There are so
This
many
guy knows
bikes
what's
out. We've had like 10 bikes ride by just in the course of this.
Well, that's what happens. 280 plus days of sun in the year, you know.
Yeah. That's cool. That was great.
Whoa. That was crazy. Do I look late?